your thoughts. Hit me up on social media. I'll read some responses throughout the course of the program from the world of X. In theory, yes, says Doty, but since Trump has not done anything positive in his latest administration, it's a moot point. Okay, come on. This is to the poll question and the premise, which is to say Democrats and opponents of Donald Trump would have more credibility with people that they need to reach, not with one another. You already have them. If every once in a while they acknowledge that there's been an achievement with which they actually agree. Now, Doty just said, well, there haven't been any. I offered you two in my opening commentary. Is it not a good thing that the porous border crossings have slowed to a trickle? Is it not a good thing that our NATO allies have agreed to move from 2 to 5% of GDP? I think they're both good things. Why not say it? You'll enhance your credibility, not diminish it.
Trade America's economy for the economy of any other country. Certainly not Europe, not China, certainly not Canada. Put things in perspective. A year and a half, 2 years ago, we had 9% inflation. Now we're down to, depending on whose numbers you believe, 2.5% to 3%. I thought that to get inflation down from 9 to 2 to 3, we'd have to see unemployment at about 7 to 9%, and we haven't. We've had a soft landing, and notwithstanding the jobs report, the economy's still doing pretty good. President Trump deserves credit for that. I think Congress deserves some credit because we passed the reconciliation bill, which hadn't even taken effect yet, the one big beautiful bill. But I think the Federal Reserve deserves a lot of credit for that. For getting interest rates down and having a soft landing.
I think that's a very eye-opening intro. As you saw from the intro, CNN host pretty much called out Democrats, their voters, that they only seem to care about the opinions of each other, not really the opinions of independents, Republicans. They only care about themselves, their opinions, their beliefs, and they don't care about the opinions and beliefs of other people. As you saw from the intro, Democrats are saying that there's nothing positive that Donald Trump has done, but he's more popular than any Democrat you can name right now in 2025. Make it make sense. Trump's approval ratings in the 40%. Most Democrats, their approval ratings is in the 20%. Name me a Democrat that has equal or more approval rate, higher approval rating than Donald Trump. I'll wait in the comment section. You can't name me one. If you look at every poll, Hakeem Jeffries, 20%. Chuck Schumer, like 17, 19, 20%, depending on which poll you reference. The entire Democratic Party has a lower approval rating than the entire Republican Party. But Democrats, the voters, right? Blind Democratic voters. And you wonder why I give sometimes Democrats and their voters this label of condescending, self-centeredness. They live in an echo chamber. If you look at every statistic, Democrats are the least tolerant people politically, right? Recently, it was found out that Cindy Sweeney was a registered Republican, and now all of a sudden, the left on BuzzFeed are calling her to be shamed and humiliated because of the fact that she's a registered Republican. Make it make sense. We all know the golden rule. If someone doesn't publicly express their political opinion, it's highly likely they're a Republican. But, liberals, leftists, still can't make sense of this. And they wonder why they're losing minorities. They wonder why Hispanics are shifting 20 points to the Republican Party in the last 7 years. Blacks have shifted 24%, according to Pew Research. But they still don't get it. Because Democrats operate politically a my way or the highway. And we're going to do a commentary, a more longer form reaction to Donald Trump's poll numbers. Because some poll numbers, right, and we're about to go with the data analyst guy, Donald Trump is the most influential president in a century. Yes, you heard that correctly. And can you see why? Look at this is the Democratic position right now. Let's take this short clip and then we'll get into the long form reaction video.
My focus has been on the people who have been here. Millions of long-term residents of the United States who happen to be undocumented that have been the target of this administration's increasingly aggressive and cruel arrest, detention, and deportation policies.
Whoa. Oof. I mean, my God. You know, we mentioned CNN. We had that poll come out a little while ago on their net favorable rating. They were 26 points underwater. You think that's low enough? How about we go even lower? We'll go to this side of the screen. I'm going to walk over here. We go to the Wall Street Journal. Minus 30 points. 30 points underwater. Their lowest on record. These polls have records going all the way back since the early 1990s. And when it comes to the Democratic Party's net favorable rating in both the Wall Street Journal poll and the CNN poll, the Democratic Party is breaking records in the way, Jessica Dean, you don't want to break records.
Yeah, no, you don't want that. What about how they do among independents?
Okay, so we're talking about overall here, but we started off this segment for the first 3 slides talking about independents. Why don't we talk about the Democratic Party's favorable rating among independents in our CNN SSRS poll? Look at this. 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19%. If I can count it, you know it's low.
So Democrats are currently at record lows for net favorability, which makes perfect sense if you think about it. What is the backbone of the current Democratic Party? Opposition to Trump. They oppose Trump for the sake of opposing Trump simply because it's Trump. And that's great for people who have Trump derangement syndrome. But for people who are reasonable and in tune with reality, it comes off as pathetic, which is part of the reason why they have a 19% favorability rating with independents. Because again, the entire Democratic Party is built off of Trump derangement syndrome.
Imagine that. Like, imagine that. And you saw it firsthand. You saw it. That's why that intro of this video was so chef kiss. It was so on point about the very problem. It's a moot point. Trump has done nothing positive for a Democrat, sure, but no Republican will ever do something positive for a Democrat. You're politically incentivized to say it's a moot point that Donald Trump is not an effective like, get out of here. Bipartisanship or betrayal. America first or Democrat first. And this is the problem. A lot of Democrats are themselves first over America. They rather America suffer and fail as long as it gives them political attack lines against Donald Trump. As an independent, I recognize this about the Democratic Party. This is why whenever I make my videos criticizing the Democratic Party, I get comments in my comment section, oh, you never criticize Republicans like this? Because Republicans haven't done really much for me to criticize them for. And when I'm looking at an alternative, I'm like, should I get this party that, half of them go for the American people and half of them are for themselves, versus an entire party of insanity where you just saw from the segment before I went on to this clip here that they were telling you that, undocumented immigrants that have been here for a long time deserves to stay in the country because they broke the law 30 years ago and we didn't catch them in 30 years, so therefore they should just stay. It's between that or the Democratic Party. What common sense individual will pick the Democratic Party right now? None. Only a partisan will do that. And Democrats are the pot calling them kettle black. They keep talking about how, people who trust in MAGA, they're in a cult. They're in a cult. But look at the Democrats. Aren't they not in the cult? They're in the cult of anti-Trumpism. That's the cult that the Democrat voters are falling into right now. There's nothing positive that Donald Trump has done. Really? Why is his approval ratings higher than the Democrats then? Or just all of America is dumb and stupid. But the almighty Democrats and their voters, they're highbrow and so much smarter than the rest of America. We don't see what the Democrats see. They've been wrong 5 times about inflation being out of control because of Trump's tariffs. But no. Let's not listen to the data. Let's listen to Democrats. That's what Democrats want you to do. Make it make sense. Democrats got so used to, trust me, bro, commentary. Now America's like, nah, we ain't listening to you no more. And that's why you got a 19% approval rating with independents. But I digress.
Administration is arguably the most influential this century and probably as well dating back a good portion of the last century as well. Love it, like it, lump it. Trump is remaking in the United States of America. Let's talk about tariffs first, right? There's all this talk that Donald Trump always chickens out when it comes to tariffs. No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this. It's 18%, the highest since the FDR administration in the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. From just 2% last year.
I remember going on a rant about this. I remember one of my videos, because I watch finance YouTube, right? And a lot of these finance YouTube people, they're liberal, right? You like, I mean, when you're political, you see it. You see them like the way they speak, how they trust the media. You be like, yeah, you're a liberal, bro. Yeah, you live in Seattle? Oh yeah, you're a liberal. Oh, you live in California? Oh yeah, you a liberal. Knowing all this stuff, they reference this strategy. Oh, you know why the stock market is up? It's because of tacos. Trump always chicken out. And then in my head, I'm like, is tariffs up or down? Tariffs are up. Oh, but it's not 50%, Kenny. Yeah, but we all know Trump was using it as a negotiation tactic. Even bank CEOs are admitting that, yes, Trump was using it as a negotiation strategy, which is a possibility. This is the funny part about people when they react over tariffs, is that Trump was using tariffs as a negotiation tool from the very, very beginning. And many people said, oh, if Trump is using it as a negotiation tool, it could be effective. If he's not, it could be destructive. Why you even assume that from the first place? Like, make it make sense. And then when he's operating, using it as a negotiation tool, you're saying he's chickening out. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Bank CEOs are saying this, that, hey, as long as Trump uses it as a negotiation tool, it could be very effective. Now, you got 5 straight months of Trump using it like a negotiation tool, and you call it him chickening out. Make it make sense. Democrats just want America to fail so they can have something to legitimately complain about Donald Trump for. That's the reality. Democrats hate America. Democrats hate Donald Trump more than they love America. But if you ask me, my personal opinion, Democrats hate Donald Trump more than they hate America. That's why they want both of us to fail. Because they hate America for voting in Donald Trump. They hate America for having one of the lowest approval ratings compared to Donald Trump. In my honest opinion, Americans should not vote for Democrat because we know Democrats are going to prosecute, but they're going to make our lives very hard because we elected Donald Trump. And I think that's the number one reason we should not let these vindictive Democrats back into power, at least not for a long time. Because you know they're going to get their get back for us voting for Donald Trump in the first place. But, I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
Talking about an effective tariff rate level, get this, 9 times as high this year than last year. But it's not just on tariffs, which of course Donald Trump ran on, in which you're seeing a tremendously influential presidency. What about immigration? Of course, Trump ran and has always run on a very hawkish immigration platform. Get this, 2025 net migration in the United States down at least 60% from last year. In fact, we may be heading for the first time in at least 50 years in which we have net negative migration into the United States. And last year, of course, in 2024, the
net negative migration. That's a good sign. That's good. Why is it good? More resources for everyone else, right? More job opportunities for everyone else. Less of a housing demand. Maybe that will bring down prices too. Because even Canada admits that having mass migrations in certain areas raises house prices because you raise demand, right? So this negative net migration is a good thing. And I think this is a trend that Americans want to see forward. And I think in 2028, this will still be something necessary that Americans would want. This is why majority of Americans want mass deportation. But Democrats don't want to catch on. Democrats said there's nothing positive that Donald Trump has done. This is a positive. 57% of Americans wanted mass deportation. This is a good sign. Promises made, promises kept. But Democrats, they don't like that because it hurts their political interest. It hurts their political power. Because Democrats, right, they only know how to talk to each other. They use illegals to artificially give their voters more bandwidth and more influence over our election than they need to because we're counting illegals as part of the census. This is the number one reason Democrats always vote against any law that either requires you to have proof of citizenship or removing illegals or non-citizens from being counted as part of the census, because they need the census. They need illegals and non-American citizens to be counted as part of the census, so that way their representation of their blue strongholds are gained seats in the House of Representatives, in Congress. This is why they're so mad about the gerrymandering stuff, which I'm gonna cover in my next video. But this is some of the examples.
Migration in the U.S. was 2.8 million. This year, we might be talking about negative net migration. My goodness gracious. Now, of course, this is part of a larger story, as I was mentioning. We're talking about immigration, net migration. We're talking about the effective tariff rate. But get this. How is Donald Trump doing it? Well, he is signing a ton of executive orders. Get this, 180, the most in a year since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, my goodness, you have to go back to the first half of the 20th century, the last century. And to make a comparison, Joe Biden signed, get this, just 77 during his entire first year. And we're only a little bit in August so far, and Donald Trump making history with 180.
Imagine that, Democrats. You supported a guy that only signed 77 executive orders his first term, and Trump already did more, only being halfway through his term. I'll just leave that out there. 77 versus 180. It took your guy 1 year to do that. Donald Trump well surpassed that. What, 6-7 months after after he became president? But you're getting mad that Donald Trump is going on golf courses in as he does his negotiations with Scotland and the European Union and all this. Oh, look, he's taking too many vacations. He's outworking your guy damn near twice as hard with less time. But you mad that he's taking golf courses in between negotiations. Make it make sense. Like people don't need a break. I digress. Let's continue.
180 executive orders signed so far this year. So that's why I said that in my mind, Donald Trump is the most influential president of this century and probably dating back a good portion of the last century. That is because he is remaking the country in terms of tariffs. He is remaking the country in terms of net migration, and he is remaking the country in terms of how much policy changes he's putting through in executive orders. As I said, it truly is history making. Love it, like it, or lump it.
Phew. Hard to argue against that. But Democrats will keep trying. Democrats will keep trying to undermine Trump. They keep trying to pretend that he didn't win the election with the popular vote. They're gonna pretend that they didn't raise $1.2 billion and lost still. Like, it's baffling to me how almost in an echo chamber that the Democrat Party is. It's truly astonishing. The intro says it all. Oh, he has done nothing positive. You don't think no American will find any of that positive? And they wonder why they so out of touch. They're wondering why we need to change our messaging. There's no way you can change that. Your voters air you out every single time. They come out, oh, there's nothing positive that Donald Trump did. There's no amount of messaging that Democratic politicians can do to deal with that. Americans meet Democrats voters firsthand. We know how most Democratic voters act in public. Openly political, right? Mock you, pretend that you somehow are dumb and stupid, but they listen to propaganda they see on MSNBC, CNN, right? And then when you get an honest CNN host that shows you, hey, these things are good, having NATO pick up more of their share and net migration into the country, which is what we needed in the first place. They'll say those are not positive things. That's what a Democrat will say. Yeah, it's not positive for a Democrat. You're right. But for America, it's very positive. And you wonder why Democrats have a low approval rating with Americans. Because slowly and surely, every American is starting to realize Democrats are about themselves and they're America last. That's the reality. And that's why they're unpopular. And until Democrats start positioning their policies and pitching it in a way that caters to the needs and wants of the American people, they'll forever stay at a lower approval rating than Donald Trump. I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.